So I just want to make another quick video, an update. So why am I doing this? There's only so much lies someone can take. I dare speak the truth, which has caused serious concern to be possibly set up realistically. After reading off of this again, unfortunately, because there's so much information. My ex, whose lies have no limits in her effort to destroy my life while fabricating her image and our past. How TUSLA can give this person a platform to spread her lies, to lure people into a religion that I and her were both a part of. As we were lured into this by a psychologist who was subcontracted by Water for TUSLA and should have been investigated, which I've spoken of many times. February the 14th, I got an email from TUSLA where I was apparently reported the usual shite, like someone reported. A week before that, I was reported to the Water for Gardaí for someone who didn't give their name. I was apparently shouting something out the window in my car. Didn't say what I said either. So I'd imagine now this is more or less the same now with TUSLA. I have several complaints actually about TUSLA, so they shouldn't even be contacting me because there's a conflict of interest. But if they wanted to send another branch of TUSLA from another county, I would gladly inform them what's going on in Waterford. But other than that, they're not welcome in my home or around my family whatsoever. But my point being is just TUSLA basically in a veiled effort to try and kind of threaten me. To be honest with you, my ex is promoting that she's working now with TUSLA. You would not believe the lies out of this woman, do you know what I mean? And I believe she is working with TUSLA because we were recruited into this Baha'i religion out in Tranmore, and she was a psychologist that recruited us into this religion, and so was her husband actually. She was working for the HSE. People will say that I might be a bitter ex or kind of spiteful or something. Like, nothing could be further than the truth. I spent for many years trying to get away from this woman. Like, I realised pretty quick that I kind of, not that I not love her, but I didn't even like her as a person, if I'm being honest with you. This woman is an example of how the system is abused by women such as herself, while she spins out her new cleaned image that has huge gaping holes in it, which is glossed over, leaving out the court orders that she broke in 2015 and 2016, the funerals that she ruined, the ongoing harassment, as we all know of, not to mention her drug use and her drug dealing, do you know what I mean? Which was what, 9 years ago? She's now promoting that she's 15 years clean. Like, this was 9 years ago. And when she went back to Dublin, she left a debt here for heroin. I don't take heroin, everyone knows this. But she was going up to Dublin under pretense of getting cocaine and sneaking down heroin, and she left the bill here. That was 9 years ago. So, like, her articles in our newspapers and on social media, there's only so much of that someone can take of this kind of lies. I feel kind of her self-promotion and her fabricated past, I feel it's an insult to genuine people who have done the whole gauntlet of getting off drugs and all this kind of stuff, and kind of like that should be in the right place to kind of give people advice, and she's only like putting herself as usual in the center of attention, is where she always has to be. I deserve to have my say. I have this woman, like as much as I block her, she's forever on social media. She's on RTE, fucking TV3, podcasts, newspaper articles, all self-promotion, trying to clean up her image. And there's only so much of that lies someone can take. The sheer nastiness of this woman is something I'd imagine not too often seen, but there is men in Ireland that has to tiptoe around telling the truth because the law is set up to protect a dangerous, malicious liar such as my ex. She has lured in all sorts in her campaign with the assistance of this psychologist employed by Water for TUSLA. Gardaí, TUSLA, actually members of Sinn Féin. They have a family in Waterford trying to clean up their own image and cover up allegations of historic sexual abuse against certain members, jumping on the bandwagon and pointing the finger at me in an effort to try and clean up their own fucking image. How someone can be given these opportunities and supported by TUSLA, and the lies not being questioned simply because she's a woman and I'm a man. Like, the inequality is unbelievable. Like. And she'll hide down now and she'll say that I'm harassing her and all this, basically because I'm calling out her lies. Like, I'm deemed as harassing her because I'm pointing her out to be a liar. I believe it's a crime in itself that this woman has been left get away with so much for so long. I'm coming into my 10th year now, and I'm still being harassed by this woman. She's instructed by a psychologist employed by Waterford TUSLA on how to manipulate the system. While she stayed in this Baha'i religion, which we are both in, and I left because I deemed it to be unethical, but she stayed in, and these are the rewards she gets there now. She gets to be the centre of attention and promote her fabricated past and present. Nothing is ever mentioned about how she broke numerous court orders in 2015, how she left her huge bill for heroin in 2014, which contradicts her bullshit story of being 14-15 years clean, how she withdrew the kids from my wedding in 2019, said that they weren't allowed go unless she was allowed go, and this is the person given a platform as some kind of moral crusader. This was in 2019. She sent safety orders. I don't even know how she got these. She got them in the Dublin courts, and she sent them down to me in-law's house to try and cause trouble. This again was in 2019. There was a place facilitating visits up in Dublin. She actually got barred out of there for her aggressive behaviour. Like, none of this is ever spoken about. And I'm supposed to just swallow her lies. My mother passed away in 2021. 2 weeks later, she sent me down a photograph of her mother. Her mother was dealing with cancer, and when I was with her, I supported her, and I was there for her mother. And this was her little kind of nasty game, sending me down a photograph of her mother when my mother passed away. My daughter was writing letters. She started writing the symbol of this religion on the top of the letters. A lot of this is on Facebook already. You can see it's a 9-pointed star. She started writing this symbol on the child's letters to try and provoke a reaction out of me. This is this Baha'i religion. I actually put up the ad as well, how Waterford HSC were promoting this religion. They weren't promoting Muslim or Catholicism or Scientology. They just happened to be promoting this one religion that I was speaking about, which was the Baha'i religion. I'm unfortunately sent updates about her lies as people I know read and they hear them and they send them on in disbelief as they know really what she's like. As much as I block her or I see her on RT or TV3 News speaking on how hard it is being a single mother, when realistically she's the reason that the kids don't have the father around. Do you know what I mean? I find that an issue, that women like this are protected. The lies from this woman to be the constant centre of attention needs to be called out once and for all, as she is publicly misleading people and misappropriating people's stories. I was given her bio recently that she uploaded onto social media. I usually try and keep all information regarding her, if I'm being honest with you, out of my life. But someone sent it on to me saying, is that not your story? And she said on the yoke that she basically got out of rehab on the 8th of the 8th, 2008, and this is why all the 8s mean something to her, and this is what she was promoting basically, and she tagged Ashery. Now I met her in Ashery, and we both broke all the kind of rules in Ashery, and we left on a sour note. I'm being honest with you, but here she's tagging them, and this whole 8 of the 8, I don't even see that there. Look, see 280808, badly tattooed, but nevertheless, that's the date I got out of rehab, and there was a symbolic gesture by me tattooing that on my arm. Why would I tattoo her date on my arm? But it just goes to show you, even that, she tries to mislead. She knows that the 8th is kind of relevant to me. She got out, it would have been, I think it was around the 11th of the 9th, 2008. She can't even tell the truth about when she came out of rehab. Do you know what I mean? She has to try and steal my story, pass it off as her own, knowing very well that it'll kind of get a reaction out of me. And at the end of the day, I could be lying, but Ashery would have the dates that she was released. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, so it would show her to be a liar. And if she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? Saying that she walked out of rehab and she's 14-15 years clean, that she walked out of there, and I don't want to get too much into detail of that, but we were both taking drugs after this, and as I said, she was getting the drugs for cheaper up in Dublin at one stage, and I would have had a fondness for cocaine and addiction, if I'm being honest with you, at the time. So she was kind of using the excuse of getting the cocaine in Dublin, and all the while she was getting heroin behind me back. And I only found out with this when the people started ringing me. This was in 2014, threatening me for the money that she owed for heroin. So I find like reading her 14, 15 years being clean of drugs like complete and utter bullshit. Like the carnage. People in Waterford will realise the carnage that's left behind by this woman. The people in Dublin won't know up North Dublin she's some kind of saviour to him or something, do you know what I mean? Because she's at the fabricating like so much and like spinning so many lies, and she's had time to clean up her story with the help of this social psychologist from Waterford TUSLA. Like the quest to clean up her image and the input of this Baha'i religion, which this psychologist, as I said, was recruiting for, like they needed to clean up that. I was warning people that she was being put in place to be in some kind of social environment to get people in that were coming down off of drugs or kind of dealing with drugs because they were vulnerable, easy targets kind of. And I said all this now years ago. I predicted all of this. I was warning for years about how unethical this religion, that actually I was in this religion with her, I told you this. I was recruited by this woman's husband through my psychology class. He was the tutor, inviting students up to the house. As we know, this is unethical, but I wasn't looked into. But that's how we ended up in that religion. And she was a psychologist as well, the wife working for Waterford TUSLA. And then it came out that there was a previous case of alleged sexual abuse, and it's not to do with me, but I was a witness in it. And this woman covered up basically the allegations. The allegations were actually about the daughter of an employee of TUSLA, and I was there as a witness, being honest with you. And this woman that recruited myself and herself into this religion, she basically covered up and decided to keep the guards out of it. She basically said that they were going to keep it internal and keep the guards out of it, which was obviously not what I wanted, because I wanted the guards involved. But so kind of the breach in code of conduct here, if it was looked into, would be immense, and she would be struck off, I'd imagine. My ex, when she dropped down the kids, like she would do this kind of sexual kind of shaming thing, they call it, where they spread sexual literature, and people who walk her will know this to be true. But every time she done this, in the days leading up to that, she would drop down the kids for sleepovers, and no one questioned like if he's this, why was she dropping the kids down? And she done this 3 times. Like I had to stop the last time in 2020 because I had to stop seeing the kids because for safety reasons. I just couldn't have her around. But she again tried to drop the kids down in 2020. And now, as I stand my ground, and as others also have begun wanting to hear their voice regarding other issues, panic is starting to set in, and an effort to quieten me at all costs is in place. I'm going to explain this as it should be known, even as a warning to shine a light on how unequal the rights of men versus women are in Ireland. This is not me having a go at women. This is not me having a go at women as will be pushed, but I'm pointing out the corruption of our government and the dangers in protecting women like this and believing what they allege without at least questioning it. And to think she's guided by TUSLA on how to manipulate the courts, like, that's unbelievable. That should all be investigated, being honest with you. As I said, I've been kept up to date kind of like regarding her bullshit, excuse the language there now. But that's basically it. People know what she's like. Not everyone believes her shite, and like they send it on to me in disbelief. They say like, have a read of that. Unfortunately, I do read some of it. Like, and the lies just, they don't know when basically with her, like. And there's only 2 things that she's concerned in there now, and that's number 1 is being the centre of attention, which was always the issue with her anyway, like. And number 2 will be destroying my life. Do you know what I mean? Because that's just the way she is. And I'm supposed to just accept like this kind of constant harassment and her constant lies, and now I'm supposed to have fucking TUSLA sending me an email asking me to send on my number that someone reported some shit about me. No. Like, there's people in Waterford, they don't want me talking about this, as it highlights just how corrupt and obsolete the system is. Not to mention the hypocrites that judge and then they try and threaten me, worried their actions may come to light, i.e. the political influence in supporting an alleged historic sexual abuser, as those in Waterford bend over backwards to support this person and his family, and they should all be out in my opinion. And then I'm the bad one for talking about this. Like, even though we all knew about it for decades, and no one would talk about it. I've had an issue with a member of this family who passed private information that I sent to a priest in Ballybeg Church, and basically he withheld the information from the priest, and he passed the information back to David Conlan, who I was after mentioning in the emails privately. And then when my mother passed away, she left instructions for this priest to say a few prayers at her funeral, and Mr. Henry Halligan decided to try and interfere, and he wouldn't let my family or the priest interact in any action to set up saying the prayers. And he even got my uncle, believe it or not, to ring up and pretend he was part of the family and ring Thompson's and try and change the funeral arrangements. So this is why I have an issue with the Halligans and Henry Halligans. I know people are saying that I've drawn attention to other situations, but nothing could be further than the truth. These people are for years trying to have their voices heard, and it's nothing really to do with me. But people have seen me kind of standing up for myself regarding these people, because they have a name for influence certain situations in Waterford. So people might have seen me standing up for myself and thought to themselves, you know something, maybe I will come forward with other situations, but it's certainly nothing to do with me. I have had some people confide some information in me regarding certain issues, and I just really advise them that they should take legal advice and go to the guards. Other than that, there's nothing I can do. While we tiptoe around this woke culture, I have to be careful telling the truth, while they harass my family and spread nothing but bullshit. While my ex, who started this, and this psychologist employed by Waterford TUSLA are given platforms to spread their lies. As a man in this culture, I intend once and for all now to have my say. The fear of speaking on camera, or worse, the supposed threat of the IRA knocking at your door if you push to speak up for yourself, is nothing more than abusing the name of this organisation. That's what I feel. I'm not having to go with the IRA or even Sinn Féin at that, but there's people using their names to try and threaten people, and I don't think that's right. Where are your patriots to interfere now once and for all and say stop using our names to cover up this shit that needs to come out? As one person's lies supports the next, I'm the only person to have ever called for complete transparency from day one. And as I start to piece this together and speak about it more concisely and factually, with less bad language, they know I have the supporting documentations. So they know what I have. So they know when I upload the documents that the shit is going to hit the fan. So they're trying everything in it to prevent it. Granted, having to speak on camera is not my thing, and it's taking me out of my comfort zone, as you probably guessed anyway. But it's a case of needs must, and certain parties are leaning on journalists to not cover anything that I have to say. I'm not going to go into any more details than that, but I think you should step back once and for all now and let the truth be known. Because eventually it's going to come out one way or the other. And the closer it gets to coming out, the closer I get to being set up. And that's realistically what it's going to come to. After assault me and all that kind of shit. Obviously I keep going, and if I get assaulted again, I keep going and whatever. But eventually it's going to come to a stage of it's either going to come out or I'm going to be assaulted. Because they're trying to ignore it, but people are just kind of slowly starting to hear me out, because they're voicing some of the same concerns that I have. How long have I been trying to speak about this now? Coming into me 10 years in June or July, 10 years I'm dealing with this. Fucking 10 years. Sorry, of course that. But I'm just saying, if you notice, I get to this point and I never actually get to explain the situation because some shit is thrown at me. Like now, 2 days ago, it was the email from TUSLA. Last week, it was the guard saying I was shouting. Like, it just goes on and on. Like, but like, I'm going to start explaining it once and for all. You have a psychologist employed by the HSE, right, recruited for a religion, her and her husband. He's also a psychologist. I was a part of this. My ex, she still is. She has a tattoo on her wrist. If you look at the logo of this religion now, I deemed it to be a cult. I found it to be unethical. They held lots of information, how they have their own laws, their own sentences. They believe in manipulating you into the group and then trying to change you when you're in there. There's just loads of this kind of stuff. So I left. I felt they were trying to brainwash us, and kind of there was none of this sexual shit attached to my name or any of this stuff. This was only attached to my name when I started speaking out about that religion in 2015, by the way. Like, if you're not given all the facts about something and you have psychologists that are withholding information about something, like, surely you should be kind of like warned of this. Like, and instead you have the HSE promoting this religion. Like, that's wrong. HSE shouldn't be promoting any religion. As I said, I spoke about this psychologist already. This person had input in covering up or assisting in not following the correct protocols set down by TUSLA and the HSE in other allegations of sexual abuse in the past. As I said, it was nothing to do with me. I was only a witness in this case, but surely you should look into this just to kind of see, is it true or if it's untrue? Because if it's untrue, you can hold me accountable. But if it's true, like, it discredits everything that she's been involved with TUSLA. And at the end of the day, then it also shows how TUSLA looked the other way and left this woman do what she done. Like, what is the likelihood that I'm making this up realistically, that I'm making all this up, that I discredited myself, that I spread all this stuff about myself? I didn't. My ex spread all this stuff about me. How my ex made a mockery out of the courts for a year and a half with her constant lies, and then when I was awarded the kids for every second weekend, she simply laughed at the court orders. She knew full well from the input of this TUSLA employed psychologist that nothing would be done if she broke the orders, and she was correct. How she brought the kids down for sleepovers while spreading this sexual slander, and no one questions the sense of what she was doing. Sorry for running over old ground. And this kind of person is given a platform to clean up her image, assisted by TUSLA, while fabricating her past and leaving a trail of destruction in her wake. But because she's so adept at lying and willing to stoop to new lows, that gets her rewarded by this Waterford TUSLA psychologist, who should be investigated, and realistically she should be struck off then. My own solicitor had to ditch my file before the allotted time of 5 years, trying to say that the 5 years is up. Now, I've shown emails showing that she was at the line, and for whatever reason she had to ditch my file, and she had to edit my file. She says she destroyed my file, and then she found it when I said I was at the contacting the Law Society. All of a sudden she found my file then, but she could only find the edited version. And I spoke about this the last video, how someone came in and like hacked into my emails and stole me paperwork. So like, for whatever reason, it doesn't change the fact that she edited my file before the 5 years was up to hide something. And she gets away with it, despite me having emails which I've uploaded and shown her to be lying. Like, where's the deterrent? You have like-minded corrupt people pulling strings for you. I have to deal with the supposed threat now from Sinn Féin because I dare speak negatively of David Cullinane. The fact that I'm speaking the truth seems to go over everyone's head. And again, I'm deemed to be troublesome for highlighting how David Cullinane, not for the first time, has brought negativity to Sinn Féin party. I'm simply speaking about it. That's all I'm doing. I didn't bring the negativity to the party. I simply spoke about him bringing the negativity to the party. The interfering in my mother's funeral by Henry Halligan. Again, I've spoken about this just there now. I'll upload these emails, probably the best way. But to try and hide his actions, how private emails were passed back to David Cullinane again, showing how close these people are. I've spoken about and shown how the Bishop covered for Mr. Halligan, and how we all know the influence over the years for him and for those around him have caused major upset in Waterford. This is not an issue, no. This shouldn't be called out. Of course they should be called out. The lies and the cronyism from certain people after building careers attacking other parties and other politicians claiming cronyism when what they engage in is worse than fucking any of the cronyism alleged by other party members. As I said, I'm going to explain this once and for all. And if you notice, I have constantly tried through the years, but every effort is made to stop me. But you have to start questioning yourself now once and for all. Why? Why am I not being left speak out, provide documentation, let people make up their own mind? Why? You have my ex then going around fabricating her past and her present should be called out, because it's an insult to people that have genuinely done the fucking work. I have to curse again there now. But it's an insult to people that have genuinely put in the time and the effort and done the work. And she's basically been placed in this position by TUSLA, using TUSLA as a kind of a springboard to clean up her own kind of image. And what she spouts is nothing but kind of lies, if I'm being honest with you. And anyone wanting to get clean of drugs, go see a drugs counsellor is all I'm going to say to you. You know what I mean? Go into the right place. Don't trust these people that are trying to lure you into. They're basically trying to. I'm not going to say they're kind of luring all the people in, because they're not, because they look for weak-minded people, if I'm being honest with you. The connection to TUSLA and the connection to this psychologist, that psychologist's connection to my family previously should have been established. Do you know what I mean? And instead it's been covered up, and it's kind of gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and unfortunately it gets taken away from the real kind of root of the problem. And we have numerous then hypocrites jumping on the bandwagon trying to clean up their own images, or like classic demagogue behaviour, as I've spoken about. The likes of David Cullen, as I've spoken about, stuck his nose into my business without first, do you know what I mean, seeing was there any truth in what's being said. But his cronies spread the sexual shite for me ex that was up in Barrack Street. I'll speak about all this once and for all, and I'll get it all down, and I'll explain it. And if it goes nowhere, it goes nowhere, and if it does, it does. I don't really kind of care at this stage. But I think it's important that it should be noted how women like this are being protected. Do you know what I mean? And they're basically abusing. Do you know what I mean? These laws are in place to protect the right kind of women. Am I being honest with you? And men. Men up and down Ireland are supposed to just accept this inequality, having to tiptoe around the lies of these poisonous women. I'm not having a go at women. Yes, there is women who need these laws, and I've said it multiple times that these laws are in place for the right reason. But you have a small minority of women that are basically willing to crucify their ex-partners because they're so filled with spite and bitterness. And she's a perfect example of this. It's about time people open their eyes and they seen that how vulnerable that it leaves men, that they can be accused of all kinds of shit and slander and everything, and nothing is done. Because if you say anything about a woman, then because she's a woman, she gets to hide behind all these laws that's put in place. There's nothing put in place for men. People will know. A lot of people in Waterford know the situation that's kind of gone on there now for 10 years, and I intend now once and for all to speak about it. And I'll approach certain topics and subjects that should be questioned publicly, and they should not be covered up. And at the end of the day, if I'm lying, as I said, there's defamation laws. Bring me to court. If I'm lying, bring me to court. There's defamation laws. But if I'm not lying, you should investigate this. You have my ex being treated now as some kind of role model now. And to be honest with you, I won't really kind of comment on it, because as I said, I try to not hear or read any of her stuff. But when you're getting multiple kind of stuffs and she's fabricating your story and stuff, and lying about her own story, Do you know what I mean? You conveniently left out how you tried to get your best friend to sell heroin for you 9 years ago. Like, where's that in your 15 years of staying clean? Or how I was stupid not to notice that you were back on the gear. Do you know what I mean? Like I have this person like now going on there now. She's harassed me now for what 10 years. Like, and it's not even harassment. It's a strange kind of narcissistic having to be the center of attention. Like you can't go turn on social media or the news, and she's like, there's some kind of pop up about her on me fucking social media. Same with me wives. Like we do everything to block ourselves from this person, and now she's getting like. She just happens to be getting supported by TUSLA. I read this in the Independent in the article. You can go back and have a look at it. And now all of a sudden I'm getting harassed by TUSLA. Do you know what I mean? Not to mention I've been making several complaints about several workers of TUSLA which weren't looked into. So there's a conflict of interest in what for TUSLA even contacting me. So as I said, if you want to get an outside source from TUSLA from another county, I will gladly explain what's happening in Waterford, and we'll find out exactly then who's harassing who. And regarding other issues, and how am I going to phrase this now? All I'm going to say is like I'm not getting involved in other issues, but me speaking out has brought attention to other topics. All I say is get your legal advice, go to the guards and kind of take it from there. I really don't have anything to do with that as much as people say I do. I don't. It just happens to overlap my case. So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully in my next video I'll finally start approaching and explaining this in the right manner. And anything I said, I'll upload documents afterwards, obviously.